We are continuing today, Meretz Hashem in Mishna Tezvav, Mishna 15, Perek Aleph. So Shammai says, Asay Torascha Keva, make your Torah a fixed practice. Amar Ma'at V'aseh Harbe, speak little and do much. Speak little and do much. And greet every person with a pleasant face. Writes the Rabbeinu Yonah, Asay Torascha Keva. What does this mean? So the Rabbeinu Yonah explains very beautifully that what this really means is make your Torah a priority. In other words, in life, sometimes it's not just about how much time you spend on something, but rather it's where that item falls out in your pyramid of priorities. Like if you look at, like Maslow's hierarchy of needs, there could only be one thing on the top of your pyramid. So the interesting part in life is sometimes to contemplate, like, what is on the top of your pyramid? So, give you an example. So it could very well be that obviously I have to work more hours than I have to learn. That's just the reality of my life. But yet, Torah could still be my priority. If you ask me what is the most important thing in my life, Torah. My relationship with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the Ribono Shel Olam. But if it's so important, then why don't you spend more hours on it? Because the reality is that sometimes I can't go ahead and devote all of the time I would like to something, even though it is my priority. So Shammai says, even if you don't have necessarily all of the time in the world, make sure you make something a proper priority. Asay Torascha Keva. Make sure that Torah becomes a priority in your life. Next, Mar Ma'at V'aseh Harbe. So this is interesting. Say a little, right? Speak a little and do a lot. So the Rabbeinu writes, Kishetavtiach es chavercha lasos ba'avuro shum davar, Amar lo ma'at v'aseh harbe. When you promise your friend to do something, essentially, what I think the expression is, under promise and over deliver. Under promise and over deliver. So it's so much better. The reason for this, we all understand the reason for this, is because in order to just avoid any kind of relationship conflict and strife, sometimes with all the best intentions we make promises to people, we put ourselves out, we commit to something, and then the truth is we just don't come through, not because I don't want to, but because often I'm just overextended and simply cannot. And therefore, again, it says the Mishnah something amazing, which is so much better to under promise and over deliver when it comes especially to dealing with others. Next, they have a mekabalas kala adam b'sever panim yafos, literally receive every person with a smiling countenance. So to this, again, the Rabbeinu Yonah writes, Shiyara lahem panim shal simcha kedei shetiehei ruach habrios nocha himenu. Literally, smile at people. Give people a smiling, pleasing countenance in order that people will be happy with you. Ratzon Lomar, sheisrachik memidas hakas. The Rabbeinu Yonah understands really what Shammai is saying is distance yourself from the quality or from the character, from the midah of anger. Shehi midah ra ad ma'od, which is the terrible midah. V'ineg atzo midas haratzon. This is really an incredible idea. That having mekabels kol adam b'sever panim yafos, what does it mean to greet every person with a smiling countenance? So of course, again, on a basic level, literally, greet every person with a smile. Of course, on a basic level, what it means is that, even each and every one of us, we have kind of how we feel on the inside and the image we have to project on the outside. How I feel on the inside, that's kind of my rishus hayachid, that's my private domain. But when I come into the world, I have to project an image of positivity. I have to project an image, ultimately, again, of happiness. And therefore explains the Mechaber, and therefore explains the Rabbeinu Yonah, that at the end of the day, greet every person b'sever panim yafos also means, so greet every person with a smiling countenance, but also avoid the midah of kas, avoid the midah of anger. Because we know that when a person suffers from kas, when a person suffers from anger, so often what ends up happening is that anger manifests itself in all kinds of ways. And it comes out, even in ways that I didn't intend, or even in ways for which I did not have in mind. At the end of the day, ultimately, again, that anger could go ahead and manifest itself, even though I don't even recognize it. Therefore, condition yourself to greet every person with a smiling countenance. I think what Rabbeinu Yonah is also driving at is that sometimes we have to force ourselves to feel a certain way. People like to think, I can't control the way that I feel. I would modify that statement. Sometimes in life, I can't control the way I feel initially. But I can absolutely control the way that I feel down the road. In other words, it could be at first I'll be angry, But then my job is to kind of rein that in. My job is to take control. My job is not to allow my emotions to be a runaway train, but to figure out how I can keep my emotions in check. That's the idea. It could be you're having a bad day. You want to yell at the world. But having the Kabbalah's called them Sefer Panim Yafos. Don't let yourself get derailed by negative midos of kas, of anger, of negativity, but rather find a way to keep those midos in check as well. All right, we'll stop over here for today. Shkoyach, everyone.